Yes, once again, welcome viewer wherever you are. This is LTN Sports Dialogue once again this week when we are seated here to do what we do best, and that is our stories that we give each and every week, looking at different aspects of the sport and also delving deep into analytical issues that touch games and even results and everything around sports, But particularly when we sit here together with LOC member Lordvic Aduda, it becomes a football affair. And yes, as it is, we want to delve immediately and see exactly how the week actually panned out. Where possible, we make reviews as well. So get in touch with us as we move along. Karibu sana Bwana CEO and LOC member AFCON 2027.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Yeah. Now, we are going straight into it, and just the other day we had the women's series, FIFA Women's Series, that was staged here in Kenya. First of all, staging it here in Kenya, how has it gone? Just the aspect of staging the tournament, or rather the friendlies of the series here in Kenya. What has it given rise to?
Thank you very much. I think the fact that the first, FIFA series involving the women national teams was staged in Kenya makes the country be known. Secondly, I think in view of the fact that the country is also going to, be the co-host of AFCON 2027, I think it also gave the country an opportunity to also learn a bit of what is required with respect to, international match organization.
Well, having done that, yesterday while driving along just besides Nyayo Stadium, I watched the huge floodlights. It was nice, and I think it's a welcome feeling. We should have more games played at night. More games should come in at night, and we see how football is played. And over and above that, I also want to emphasize the fact that I saw a very young group of fans emerging from the Kenyan fan base who are actually supporting the girls, who actually came out to support the Kenyan starlets. And again, it's refreshing to see that we are getting a new crop of fans who are the Gen Zs and even younger fans. What do you say about that?
Well, I think it is their moment because those players are also their age mates, those players are their relatives, those players are their friends. Those players are their neighbors wherever they stay. And of course, it is the moment that we now find the majority of the yesterday, fan or supporters have also, either through natural attrition left the scene. And the others have also probably because of, age left the city. It is a good feeling because we find that the new crop of fans and supporters really are the way to go. Because football without active, fan base or supporters is also a kind of a boring situation. But we are looking at a situation where with the emergence of the new generation, the new supporters, I believe that it's a good feeling, so long as the administrators or the managers of football can take advantage of that to try and rope in, the corporates. Because football, as I've always said, is a capital-intensive, sport that requires a lot of finances for proper development and advancement. So it is a good feeling from where I sit, seeing this new crop of fans, particularly taking time, to throng the stadiums in support of, their starlets. And I believe there would be an extension of the same towards our clubs and eventually towards the national team when we host AFCON come next year.
Well, Australia won the series after beating Kenya by 2 goals to nil. And as expected, though, Australia had some of the best talents in the world of football. Some playing for Manchester United. There was also a player playing for doing it for Chelsea, and others. They were meeting our Kenyan ladies who don't have the same exposure at any higher level than that. But yes, we played the finals with them, and it was a good show. What can we draw as the positives out of this, and what perhaps should the federation and the government work on to ensure that this story doesn't end here for the starlets? It's built upon to better and greater achievements in future.
Well, this is a one-off event in terms of, you know, the hosting this time round. But I think it is also good for the development of women football, most particularly given that our girls, you know, need role models. But from where I sit, I believe that, you know, it was a good exposure, you know, in terms of preparations. Our girls, starlets, qualified for this year's Africa Cup of Nations for the women. So I believe both the technical bench and the players got an opportunity to size themselves against some of the top, you know, teams or top players in the world. Notwithstanding the fact that Australia has previously, you know, participated in the Women World Cup. So it was a good moment for our girls to also look at what positives they can draw, you know, especially from a technical perspective.
That was nice. And again, looking at the Kenyan team, the Starlets, what would you perhaps inform about it? Do you think tactically and individually and psychologically they are building up to be a good team compared to the finest that we saw against Australia? Just what particularly would be drawn in terms of the tactical input, strategic input, because all this is a competition, and every competition deserves some level and some amount of discipline in terms of technique, in terms of the strategy, and everything around it.
Yeah, it is important that we, particularly the technical bench of the Starlets, take their time to understudy some of, you know, the techniques used by some of these, you know, more experienced, you know, tacticians. And secondly, from the perspective of team selection, we realize that football now, basically, unless a player is exceptionally talented, I have seen that the current situations requires a little bit of good physique in terms of, you know, the players. Because football now, unlike before, yeah, is dynamic, you know, and it requires a lot of physical and mental preparedness, of course, at that particular level. Because you could see some of our girls, in as much as they're technically, you know, they had prowess, but physically they were being, you know, outmaneuvered by
the
Australians. So it is important, not just for the Starlets alone, but the Kenyan teams, yeah, needs to start looking at, you know, the possibility of enlisting, yeah, physically endowed players so that they can combine the physique together with the inherent natural talents.
Yeah. Well, we wish Starlets well in their encounter, and more especially as we head to the Women African Cup of Nations that they qualified for, and it is also a very good trajectory that the team is taking. For the first time, we are seeing a lot of positive things, and yes, we say kudos to you. The sky is the limit. Please go out there and do us proud again and again. Now back into the Kenya Premier League. The title race is slipping off in the hands of Gor Mahia, and at one point Gor Mahia was 9 points ahead of every other team in the log. Today we are speaking, and Gor Mahia is now just 2 points. This kind of collapse, is it tactical? Is it something that is psychological? Is this one about what would cause this amount of drop? Because it is disturbing. From Kariobangi Sharks game to Tusker and this, Gor Mahia has not given what is expected of them as title contenders. Just like you said the other time, Gor Mahia is not supposed to be struggling in this league. They're supposed to be having this as a dress rehearsal to play against their peers in the continent. Just what has happened? Why this change of momentum?
Well, I don't know, but I think at the tail end of the league, teams participating in the leagues usually tend to up their game because that is where, or that is when possibilities of relegations are strife, and the possibility of clinching, the championships are also high. So in this respect, I believe that teams or clubs currently playing in the Sport Pesa Premier League are also not taking chances. And it is therefore incumbent upon both the technical bench and the playing unit of Gor Mahia to realize that the league is a marathon, and it will be foolhardy for them at this particular moment, to drop their guards so that, the difference now is probably one draw or one loss, and that might end up, being, an Achilles problem to the team. All the teams are remaining with 7 matches. They should strive, beginning from this Sunday against Bandari, to ensure that they win all the remaining 7 matches. Once they do that, even if the nearest rival AFC also wins the remaining 6 matches, then automatically they might not end up overtaking Gor Mahia, because they are the closest in terms of the points, the title race.
Well, now you say that every game now should be like a final to Gor Mahia.
Right.
They should go out guns blazing and ensure they win all the games to be safe now.
Right.
Looking at Tusker and the way Tusker inflicted that 1-0 loss to Gor Mahia, and the complaints that were there. A lot has been said about this match to Wanguru Stadium. Does it come out, does it pass out as one of the matches that did not have a proper officiating? Or is it one of those matches that we could say that should have not been played in Wanguru or somewhere else? Because guys were saying, oh, don't blame the playing surface. Some were saying, oh, this match looks like it was predetermined by somebody. A lot of reasoning and a lot of excuses have come out of this defeat against Tusker. What would you say?
I think Tusker got their chance. They made use of their chance. Gor also had their chances, which unfortunately they never made use of. We have had situations where match officials, have made calls that have, remained suspect. But I believe that it is within the ambit of, the department responsible for referees' appointments and training to ensure that those match officials whom they give top level, matches are competent, so that we do not end up having excuses, across board. Because secondly, I believe that we need to really stick, to the regulations as required by the rules and regulations governing Kenyan football. With respect to honoring matches in either at your home ground or at your alternative ground. The federation also has a discretion to ensure that they inspect the respective, match venues ahead of planning matches at some of those pitches. So I am not aware whether Wanguru or whatever the name had been cleared by the respective department in charge of safety and stadium issues. But that notwithstanding, the match is past. I believe we need to look ahead and avoid such kind of repeated situations come the new season.
Would you also delve into the matter that Gor Mahia having brought up a new technical bench that comprises of Ghanaians, all of them being Ghanaians? The Ghanaians, is it also becoming an issue? Because guys, some argue that you should have had even locals there to sometimes understand how things work, and then they advise the coach and his team. But this is purely a Ghanaian affair. How would you take this?
Well, I would really not take issue because the Ghanaians never brought themselves. Gor Mahia has an EC that hired them. The same EC, I believe, members of the EC have respective duties and responsibilities doled out to them through the Gor Mahia constitution, and really they must be responsible for what is happening. I mean, it is not from some of us now to question whether it's a purely Ghanaian affair, because besides being accomplished players during their playing days, they are also accomplished coaches, like the current head coach has had a stint even with the Ghana national team, the Black Stars. It is not just anybody who wakes up to become or to be appointed the coach of Black Stars. Black Stars is not probably nothing demeaning against Harambee Stars, but Black Stars is not just any other team that somebody will wake up. But if you've got an opportunity to be appointed as the head coach of the Black Stars, it means that you have some pedigree. Yeah. Yes.
Does it remain for Gor Mahia to lose this league now? Is it now upon them to lose it?
It is upon them. It is upon them to lose it or to have it. They must begin the surge again,
the final push.
The final push begins from Sunday.
Against Bandari.
Against Bandari.
Gor Mahia, the final push begins exactly on Sunday when you take up Bandari FC, who again are not just pushovers. And just like he says, it's at the tail end of the league. Everybody wants to finish in a respectable position, and therefore this one also promises to be another game that will be inspiring to watch. And we get now to National Super League promotion battle and the coaching casualties. Gilbert Selebo has left, and we are looking at a serious turnover of coaches, both at the NSL and both at the KPL. What is wrong with our teams? Right now, there are about 14 coaches this season alone who've been shown the door. Some have resigned, some have just left on their own volition. But then the turnover looks so huge. Does this one also affect the momentum of our league? Does it affect how we play? Does it interfere with anything that is structurally beneficial to football?
Well, it is unfortunate that we've had such a big number of coaches, either sacked or resigning from the positions before the end of the 2025-2026 season. But I believe that the Kenyan clubs need to be a little bit patient, with the coaches. Two, it is also coming out that some of these coaches were sacked not because of posting bad results or things like this. But we've also had situations where certain club administrators are also interfering with the, composition of the players, particularly the starting lineups. Uh, we Grapevine has it that there are certain club officials who would wish to have certain players, included in the starting lineups, irrespective of whether they can live up to, the build to, post good results when they are given the opportunity. Now, I believe also that we have very complacent coaches. Kenya, unfortunately, has very complacent coaches.
Are they lazy or complacent?
They are just complacent. Complacent in the sense that once they have achieved B license or A license, none of them really wants to go out there and find out what is new in terms of techniques, in terms of management. So we still have coaches in Kenya, whereas at that level, the Premier League level, we are supposed to have managers. So I believe it is a challenge to the coaching fraternity, the technical department at the federation, to ensure that we prop our coaches, give them opportunities. There are several, opportunities of advancement in terms of scholarships, where coaches can go and enhance their training, so that, because at the end of it all, it translates into the kind of performances that we get to see in our clubs, and by extension, the standards of our players, especially at the international level.
Well, now Mombasa United has been doing so well. In fact, they to the point of last week, Mombasa United was still topping the National Super League. Now, after losing to Kibera Black Stars last weekend, we now see and confirm that Migori Youth, no, for the last 2 weeks, Migori Youth has been on top, albeit with a goal difference. This should be a story because Migori Youth has been very consistent in this. Mombasa United came in, they looked very compact, but now again, after these things we are seeing of sackings here and there, they're not at their best. Just last week they lost to Kibera Black Stars. Mofa again was doing so well until now, the last quarter of the season. They're now dropping and dipping down there. The race for promotion is on. In this aspect, what would be the secret behind Migori Youth FC's rise to this point?
I think Migori Youth has been consistent alongside Mombasa United, and the fact that Mombasa United have sacked, their head coach Gilbert Selebwa, would also, have dire consequences or effects with respect to the playing unit, because with less than probably about 10 matches to go, bringing in a new tactician, completely new tactician, will definitely affect the rhythm of the team. The players, for the better part of the season, have mastered the form of play, the type of play, the combinations that were been put in place by the now departed coach Gilbert Selebwa. Migori Youth, I think, are also trying their level best, particularly when they are playing at home with that massive, fan base of home support. So they are posting, good results, and as just you've mentioned, we find that everybody wants to, get promoted. to the top tier league, because that is the that is the most prestigious league in the country. So it is everybody's player, it is everybody's every coach's dream to ensure that he guides his charges to participate in the top tier league in the country.
Well, that is it on the NSL, and well, may the best team get the promotion they deserve. Now, let's look at the results of Mozart Bet Cup that actually happened last week. Mfalme FC thrashing Muranga Seal 5-1. Again, another underdog, another story of BB Bread and the rest who've been giant killers through this tournament. And Mozart Cup is becoming an exciting tournament because we can see teams really believing in themselves and giving what is beyond everybody else's imagination. Now, Mfalme FC just decided that they have to thrash Morangasil 5-0, a Premier League team, 5-1, a Premier League team. And then Coach Osborne Monday had to pay the price. And again, adds to the turnover of coaches that we are talking about right now. Just what is it? Are we seeing an emergence or a revelation of another football energy? Or is it the appetite to want to play against the top teams and telling them, guys, you know what? It's football.
Well, football is football. It is not conspicuous with the Kenyan situation, because if you look at the knockout tournaments, even in the European League, leagues or countries, those underdog teams usually the giant killers. We have seen in the past, editions. The most immediate edition was last year. Nairobi United also from the lower leagues did their stuff and eventually beat Gor Mahia.
They're actually defending champions right now.
And they are the defending champions.
Yeah.
So it is a good place to be with respect to some of these teams that are not plying their trade in the Premier League. Now, there is also one thing that we need to realize, that some of these teams also have amongst their current squad some of the topmost now almost retired or retiring players with a lot of experience, turning out for those respective teams. You look at maybe BB, they had some of the players who in the previous years also participated in turned out for some of the top clubs in the Premier League. So for Mfalme, congratulations for having did what you were supposed to do. For my good friend Coach Osborne Monday, that is not the end of the world. Whatever it was, I think it could have been a bad day in office. But that's football.
Job Omino used to say coaches come and go.
Yes.
But I think it's not a very good saying, why do you sack a coach with just 6 games remaining in the league? I mean, what reason or what rationale does it bring onto the table? What would you say? I mean, what is it?
Well, at times it could be what I did mention earlier. Yeah, a lot of interference also, or expectations from club administrators, because just losing one match, in as much as the margin was a bit heavy, was not good enough reason to sack a coach at the tail end of the Premier League, forgetting all the positive results that the club has achieved under his watch. But that, be it so as it may, it's taken place. So really, there's nothing much to
Nothing
begrudge.
much to say, but Osborne Monday, just like you've been told, take the next step and move ahead. Moses Shuma, as we complete in just less than 1 minute. Moses Shuma, an import from Kenya to, an export from Kenya to the Zambian league right now, banging 20 goals this season. And again, is doing what Jesawiri used to do in the same league. And Kenyan seems to be having a home in the Zambian Premier League, even better than the Kenya Premier League. What would you say? And this very player doesn't even get call-ups at the national Harambee Stars team. What is the problem, and what would you take this one for?
Well, I think first and foremost, kudos to Moses for that kind of an achievement in his first year as a professional footballer in Zambia. And two, I don't want to say that he doesn't get a call-up, because we are yet to have another team. It was unfortunate that he was not part of the squad that participated in the FIFA series that took place in Rwanda. But we have other matches or other engagements coming up in June, coming up in November. But I believe that the head coach, that is McCarthy, is aware that he will need to, look outside the box to ensure that he, puts in place a team or a group of players that eventually will ensure that we just don't participate, but we compete, adequately come AFCON as the hosts in 2027.
Well, because of time, it's so interesting. I would have loved to delve so much into Shuma's career. At one time, Gor Mahia wanted Shuma, and a mind-boggling figure was mentioned. And again, now to Zambia, he went with something that is 3 times lesser than what they wanted here for Kenyan Premier League. Again, that would also come to the Kenyan market, football market, where we don't seem still to really know what to do with our Kenyan football market and how well to reap out of it. Our next discussion maybe will give us more about it. Now, it's been wonderful having you along. My name is Nico Kello. I was with LOC member AFCON 2027, Lordvic Aduda, who has been shedding light on a number of aspects in terms of football and sports in general. Yes, thank you very much for having found time to be with us again today. And to you, my viewer, always keep it LTN Sports Dialogues, because this is where you get every insight, you get every detail, especially from people who have the experience and know-how in matters football. Till we meet again next week, have yourselves some lovely time.